pointedly, do you think Tinubu can win this election?
Let me tell you what I think. I pity him because after he wins, they're going to start saying he rigged. And the biggest challenge for the stability of this country going forward is not so much who will win or who will lose, but how they will accept outcomes. Because if you do an election and people can vote for you, they can vote for your rival. And if they do happen to vote for your rival and he wins, if you insist that all you are going to be doing is screaming up and down, saying you lost, you did it, and instigating the society, how does the winner become the victim of the votes people gave him?
Let's look at.
So guys, President Tinubu is promising free, fair, and credible election ahead. So, my dear, you can only give what you have. That's what the wise people used to say. You can only give what you have. Someone who cannot in himself come out and sign the peace accord, but rather prefer to sign the peace accord in proxy, that person is promising you free, fair, and credible election, and you believe. Somebody that say that in war everything is fair, in democracy everything is fair, in election everything is fair, that person is the same person that will promise you a free, fair, and credible election, and you believe. That person that once said grab it, take it, run away with it, that same person will promise you free, fair, and credible election, and you believe. Do you want to talk about electoral reform? Someone that's in charge of the INEC, someone that's in charge of the judiciary, someone that's in charge of the military, the chief of services, all the heads of services, that same person is a person you believe that person that holds power dearly, the same person that will promise you a free, fair, and credible election. My dear, 2027, as I always say, it is between APC and Nigerians. Don't expect a free, fair, and any credible election. Come out and vote and know that come 2027, it is a do or die affair. It is a do or die affair. We must reclaim back our country and we must fix things. We must fix things. Do you want to know how much of the damage this particular administration have caused Nigeria? Do you know how many years behind we are actually traveling with every single day they spend in office? Do you know how many days behind? Anyway, let me allow you watch the rest of the video. I believe after this, you get enough awareness about how much of damage these people have caused us. If you have watched this video to this point, please don't forget at the end of the day to like, to subscribe to this channel, and to share so that others can also see. Let me allow you to watch to the end. Thank you.
As we are heading for election, as I speak to you, politicians are already going to the university communities to reach out to the professors, to the academics. And of course, they try to use the federal agencies that INEC will normally use as collation officers and returning officers. They are already reaching out to them. I presided over election in 7 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In a particular state, a politician declared publicly before election, 48 hours to election, that by Saturday, by 12 o'clock, 2 p.m., the result would have won the election. Because historically, they were used to writing election result. But I was clear that under our watch, that the will of the people is what will govern in that election. In that election, that politician could not even make it. How much more for the party was even campaigning for? The professors who were used to write the results, we proceeded against them and got all of them jailed. Final points. No credible election can take place in the African continent when, for instance, in Nigeria, you have an Electoral Act that says that a ballot paper that does not bear the serial number of INEC shall be taken into account. What election are you expecting to happen? 2, we have in the current 2026 Electoral Act a provision that says that a presiding officer, a ward collection officer, a returning officer that fails to comply with INEC regulation and guideline under section 133, 38, it shall not be a ground for nullifying election. And furthermore, that such individuals, when those matters are challenged in court, it shall not be necessary. It shall not be necessary to bring them to court. Yet, we are going for 2027 election. Violating, ignoring the first alteration initiated by President Goodluck Jonathan under section 160 of the Constitution of the Fatherland to the effect that an EMB must be independent, and EMB must be unfettered to do what is right under section 160. He was the first to make that alteration. And 48 hours to the 2015 elections, what happened? Section 52 that prohibited the use of INEC procedure. President Jonathan signed a new act to remove that. Of course, in Nigeria said they were looking for an iron bender in 2015. So we got an iron bender, as a gentleman to lead. So to me, whether democracy will have a hopeful future on the basis of political parties, which are indeed at the essential organ of democratic practice, and judiciary that should stand tall and mighty, they must copy what happened in England. And that is that the honors of how well election is conducted in Africa continent should be placed on the EMB. And they must adopt inquisitorial method, not adversarial method. That is the only way we can give to ourselves and future generations who faces we are yet to see, whose name we may never know, that give to them one thing, which is nothing but a heritage or democratic hope. Thank you.
The politicians don't need our votes to get to power. Who do they need? The judges. That is why Wike is building mansions for judges. That is why state governors are donating Prados and Land Cruisers to judges across the states. That is why they are making sure judges are the best paid people in Nigeria. And meanwhile, governors who cannot pay minimum wage are feeding judges with the kind of money and emoluments and free prey that you cannot add up and cannot declare. Because citizens don't care.
So, but Prof, you think buying houses and giving vehicles to judges are wrong?
By politicians? Of course I think it's wrong. You think I'm going to pull back from that and tell you it is very right? It is wrong.
To help them do their jobs well, make them
Excuse me, what happened to judicial budget?
Susceptible to
what happened to judicial budget?
Influence.
Now, okay, so a governor has money or thinks they have money to give to procurement of vehicles for judges. Why is that not in the judicial budget?
So anything that anyone... Because in the code of conduct for judicial officers, it is given that there is an amount, there is a level of gifting that any judge can subject himself or herself to.
No.
But it's in the code of conduct.
Go and read the
cannot receive
precisely
gifts. Do you amount these kind of houses or vehicles to this kind of gifts?
Absolutely, yes. So as a matter of fact,
any judge that receives this vehicle or house has breached the code of judicial conduct.
As far as if I'm a lawyer arguing before a court in Nigeria, and you have received, and I'm in a case involving a state governor or a state government, and you have received a car, I will seek to recuse you. As a matter, I will not negotiate it. I will recuse you, or you will sack me from your court. But I will not continue doing a case before you if you have received a vehicle from a governor. And if you're a chief judge and you are signing a case, having received a car from a governor, I'll fight you to the end if I were a lawyer in the state. I won't. This is the point. And now we all have to make accommodations for these things. I practiced law. I started off legal practice at a time in this country when that was unheard of. I've been a lawyer in this country for nearly 40 years. Okay? I started off before the law entirely left me. And I'm happy that it left me because there are things I can no longer understand.
You see, I'm a scholar and at the same time a practitioner. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of NDC, he continued to speak generalistically. You know,
what does that mean?
You can't say professors. That is too. That's what we call. He has committed a fallacy called fallacy of unqualified generalization.
How do you mean? Who are those that organize the election in Nigeria? They're not professors.
Right now, he said professors. How many of them? There are bad eggs everywhere, even in journalism, even in acting, where he is acting because he's an actor.
I'm not an actor.
You are a comedian. You are in.
Well, actually, he was a director.
I direct people like you who don't know how to deliver lines. I'm a director. I'm not an actor. Please, don't dress me wrongly.
Yeah, you are directing stage play.
I direct you.
So we are not doing acting here, okay? We are talking of serious nation-building issues.
Yes, that is why you should address the clause. Why did your candidate, omit the clause of primary and secondary school?
He has a right to
That's what the issue is.
But that's not the question I asked.
And secondly, because he like to make noise, I like to make points. That's the difference between the two of us.
Make the point, let's see.
I'm a scholar. He also, Peter Obi, in the statement you mentioned, he also talked about professors helping illiterates. Are you getting me? That means he also is an illiterate because he himself he has just collected from to contest as an aspirant of his party. It is not every one of us that are illiterate.
That doesn't make me an illiterate. What does illiterate mean? Define the word illiterate. Can you define the word? Define the word illiterate.
Someone who is not educated, who doesn't have
You may not be
knowledge.
educated in journalism and you're educated in mechanic work. That's not being an illiterate.
You can see why Peter Obi's statement is unqualified. It's not every political office holder that is an illiterate. Two, even
is your presidential candidate educated?
Listen, the constitution
which is his primary school? Which is his secondary school? Can you name his primary school? Can you name his secondary school? Give us. Can you give us those two?
Because you didn't.
No, can you give us those two?
And you cannot win 27 elections.
Come here and bamboozle us with cock and bull. A scholar, did you go to primary school? What is the name of your primary school?
HLA.
Very good. What is the name of your secondary school?
Aquatere Community.
Can you please name for us Tinubu's primary school and his secondary school?
And I went to INEC.
Can you name for us Tinubu's primary school?
Right, okay, gentlemen.
So that is why we're saying professors are aiding. Look at the scholar. You are aiding an illiterate to become president of our country.
Hold on, folks.
Our president.
That's what the issue is.
Is qualified.
I'm going to have to come in.
Section 225A of the Constitution gives me worry. And I see a possibility of one of the major political party not making it to the 2027 election.
Why do you say that?
It talks about the deregistration of political party.
Yeah.
And there is a matter in court. And I have a feeling, a very strong feeling, that one of the political parties, a major one, and I'm worried about what could be the judgment of court. If you look at the criteria for INEC having the powers of INEC to register a political party, part of it includes A, breach of any of the requirements for registration. And the requirement is a long list. B, failure to win at least 25% of votes cast in one state of the federation in a presidential election.
That's right.
Or 2, one local government of the state in a governorship election. C, failure to win at least one ward in chairmanship election. One seat in the national or state as House of Assembly election, or one seat in the councillorship election. If you look at how sensitive this criteria is, and I've looked at the situation, and I've looked at the rest, I've looked at what they're arguing in court, I'm afraid that the judgment might go in the way of INEC.
So which party are you referring to? Because you say one of the major parties.
I do not want to predict what the court will give a judgment. No, but my biggest worry is that this is, and look, something, I've said some of these things and it have happened.
Well, you know the problem.
In elections, it has happened.
Either
it sounded good in the ears of people or not, and I hate to become a prophet.
But no, Shehu. The problem is not the law, right? What you're seeing is a weaponization of the law. Because look at it. I don't know which party you're referring to, but some of the parties
might go down.
But wait, in recent elections conducted by INEC even came to the court to say some of these parties actually won seats. So the question is not the law. I have been a strong proponent and supporter of Section 225. In fact, when INEC, my position on deregistration is known. I support the registration of political parties. But a situation where there is a weaponization of democratic instruments, such as this, to undermine and scuttle and decimate opposition because it's a political strategy.